Alright, here's a demonstration video on the reading table modeling. So I'm going to start with the reading table, and this is an exercise to get you familiarized with modeling simple furniture so you could use some of the skills you've learned to create your second project, which is the room with a view. So we're going to go ahead and start with a cube. Now remember, you're going to go to create polygon primitives. If you have interactive creation turned on, you're going to have to drag a couple of times to make a cube. I have it turned off because I rather work with a cube as a default in the center of the grid, so I'm not going to have that turned on. So I'm going to hit, make sure I have polygon selected and click on the cube button. And at this point you can scale your cube to be whatever size you need it to be for the table. So let's say my table is about this size, and oops, I'm gonna have it this way, sorry. Have the table this way, something like that. Okay, something like that. Now we're also going to have to add some segments to the table. So I want the width to have 3 segments, the height can remain at 1, and the depth to have 3 sections, 3 divisions. The reason for that is we're going to use some of those details with the divisions to continue to build our table. Next thing we're going to do is to build the table leg. So you're going to right click on the object, go to edges or edge mode, edge component, double click on this edge and shift double click on that edge. At this point you can go to the top view and use the scale tool, which is the R key, and you're going to drag on the blue axis to bring those components to the edges to the edge of the table. And repeat the same for these 2 edges. Double click on this, hold the shift key, double click on that. Now you're going to drag the x-axis scale and you're going to scale them over here to make sort of like a square. Make sure this turns out to be a nice square because they're going to form the table legs. At this point you can right click, go back to object mode. Now if you unclick it and you see a shaded mode, you can usually press the 4 key. You can press the 4 on your keyboard to turn to wireframe. I like to use wireframe mode for my top view, my front view, and my side view so I can see my geometry. This way it's easier for me to figure out where things are, where the lines and vertices are. So going back to my perspective view, again, when you unclick your object and you don't see the details in there, you can select the object and choose this option, wireframe on shaded. And even though you can click it, you're going to be able to see the geometry. Okay, so I'm going to flip it over, right click and go to the face component, select the faces, hold the shift key, select the faces at the edge. We're going to use the extrude tool to extrude them for table legs. Alright, so I'm going to hit extrude right there. And you can use this modifier, or you can simply hit W to use the regular move tool. And you're going to move the table legs down to as long as you want them to be. So this is a little too long, so let's say something like this. And if you want the legs to taper, you can hit the R key and click on the middle square and scale it in. Oh, sorry. You are going to, no, we can't do it this way. We have to do it while we're extruding. So let me repeat the extrude. Alright, so I have this selected. I'm going to press extrude and I'm going to drag them down. Now, if your selection axis is too small, you can press the shift plus key to make it larger, or the minus key to make it smaller. So drag the down arrow to get your legs, and at the same time now I'm going to click on one of those little squares to get the middle proportional sizing. Click and drag and scale it in, and that way you have the table legs a tiny bit tapered. Okay, right click, go back to object mode. Next we're going to create the shelf on the table, and I need another edge loop right here to make the shelves. So I'm going to go to mesh insert edge loop tool, and I'm just going to make one right about here. This is the width of your shelf, so if you want the shelf to be really wide, you can make it there. I'm going to make my shelf right about here. Okay, Q to drop the tool, right click, go back to component mode for faces, select the faces here, 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 here. All right, you should have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 faces. You're going to hit extrude, and you are simply going to pull them up. Okay, you pull it halfway, G to repeat the extrude, and extrude it one more time. Okay. Undo this way. Okay, make them about the same size. So this will become the shelf of your desk where you can put some books in. Q to drop the tool, and before we can make the shelf, we need to add a couple of edge loops. So I'm going to go back to Mesh Insert Edge Loop. I need one. I can do one right there, and one right. Oops, I'm going to do one right over here. All right. So I have 2 additional edge loops. Q to drop the tool. Right click, go to the face component, select this face and this face. What we're going to do is we're going to extrude them in. So hit the extrude tool. I'm going to make them a little larger. There you go. All right. I'm going to click on the scale tool to get the middle proportional scaling. I'm going to drag it in slightly. And also to drag it down up this way. I'm going to press G to extrude one more time. And this time all I have to do is to pull those shelves back. All right. So don't pull them too far back because then they'll stick out. So pull them back. And that will form the shelf of your desk. Q to drop the tool, right click, go back to object mode. All right. At this point, we can use the bevel tool to add a nice bevel to the edges of the table. Because if you don't, you notice that when I unclick, the edges are pretty sharp. You can also go to one of your orthogonal view and place the table on the grid. Oops. Oops. My mouse pad is a little slippery. Okay, press F. Again, I like to see in a wireframe in these orthogonal views, so I'm going to press 4 here and also press 4. Expand the view to make sure my table is sitting right on the grid. It's not, so I'm going to drag it slightly. And there you go. Okay. Next, I'm going to select the edges that I want a slight bevel on to create a small edge for my table. So right click, go to the edge mode. I'm going to select this edge, actually double click to get the entire edge. And I also want to hold the shift key, select that edge and this one. Alright, we don't need a bevel right over there. Come over on here, select this edge and that edge. Okay, with those edges selected, I'm going to go to Edit Edge Bevel, and that is your default bevel. If you need to adjust it in your channel box, you're going to see the input, the poly bevel. You're going to change the fraction if you want it smaller or larger. So if I drag it this way, it's going to be a little smaller. I think I like it about 0.3 to give it a nice little edge. Okay, and if you need any other edges, you're going to repeat the same process. So I'm going to right click, select the edge right over here. I want this edge, that one, that one, that one, and these in the front. And also edge right over there, there. Oops, don't need that one. If you select more accidentally, just hold down Control and swipe over it to deselect. So I want these edges to be bevel, and because I've just used the belt, I selected this one. So let me get rid of that one. All right, just oops. Make sure you are not selecting any extra edges. Oh, there you go. How did I do that? Okay. With those edges selected, you're going to hit G to repeat the bevel. And there you have it, slight bevel on the top of the table. And you can continue the process to add more bevels, maybe some to the legs and so forth, if you like. Okay, so our table is pretty much done. Notice that there is a lot of history when the table was constructed. So you're going to go to Edit, Delete All by Type, History, all right, to clean it up some. And you can also double click in the channel box and name it Table. Okay, I'm going to go to File, Save Scene As, and save it to your classwork folder. Oops, Maya has quit. Oh, there you go. All right, before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and set my project to the classwork project. So I'm going to go to File, Set Project, and find where your project is located. Mine is in the Summer 2015 MAA 131 folder, classwork. So I'm going to select that folder and hit Choose. And then I'm going to go back in here and save scene as, and that will be in right here. Okay, I'm going to call it Reading Table. Okay, so that part is done, and we're going to come back. We're going to make some books and a chair. All right.